check. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of, wow, why can I never remember it? Video Production Helpline. Maybe I should change the title if it's so difficult to pronounce, but it's good to see everybody. Lots of familiar faces. We've got Blackout Studios. Elliot, good to see you again. Elliot, and thank you for the kind words. The one and only Brandon with his little inside joke for those of you who watch Cameron Flask. We've got Evans, Tim, my wife is in the house. Good to see you, babe. Chris, Jake, James, good to see you, James. Been a little minute there. DJ, Sucker, Tash, not Trash, even though I always want to say Trash for some reason. Ian, and others. So good to see everybody. We're going to dive into your questions here in just a second and cover, whatever it is you feel like covering. So before we do that, I do want to do some housekeeping because we have something exciting happening tomorrow. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Make sure it's the right one. There's a notification going on. Okay. So tomorrow morning, this project goes live with version 2. So for those who don't know, I'm actually using the microphone right now. By the way, let me know if you can hear me and everything's okay after last week's little hiccup. But we're going to be selling over 50 or around 50 of these microphone kits. So if you've been wanting one, stay tuned. We're going to email blast everybody and on Twitter. And if you aren't familiar, you can go to camerafoundry.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, enter your email here, and you'll get notified when these are shipping. After this batch goes out, we're going to do another batch of white microphones. So if you're not into glossy, shiny black microphones, then you can get a white one. Otherwise, if you're looking for some used equipment, we are selling a whole bunch, and the link is down in the description to our Gear Focus, where we've got a couple 120Ds still available, and we're just making room and selling stuff and trying to get gear a new home. So if you're looking for some lighting equipment or lenses, we've got a bunch of lenses, as you can see here, Roken on set. I'm selling my Shinar Cine Mod set and the Shannon set, which is 5 lenses for $722, or you can score 4 for $361. So that's going to do it for the, help keep ads and sponsorships off of the channel segment. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive straight into all of your questions. Let me close all these here. Windows, get a fresh one fired up just in case, and we'll see what's going on. So, I look all gray. Yes, I do. That's how I'd like to roll. What's going on? Oh, my LUT! Gerald! Good call, dude. Give me 1 second. Let me go and turn that on. I can't believe I left that off. Also, what is all this stuff on my desk? Things are just a mess today. Let's go ahead and do that. Be right back. Let me see if I can do that quickly. Oh, that looked good. All right. How's that? That's better. A little dark, but we'll roll with it. Good save and good to see you, Gerald. What's going on? LUT. Yep. Boom. All right, so, and I had to close my curtains. I moved my sound blankets to curtains, which has been, just the best. Trying to get rid of those, maybe he's planning a big LUT reveal. Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. Let me drop the arms on these chairs, and we'll get busy. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and we will dive in. Questions, things you want to talk about, can be really anything. Would you say the Zeiss cinema lenses, for example, CP3s, are worth the money? Evan, I would say they are, but it depends on what you're looking for. the CPs are very clinical, very clean. These days, at least in circles that I've hung out in, it's becoming very popular to not have that super clean look. So if you're looking for a little more, it's so overused, but character, you could look at something else and also save a lot of money. That said, the CP2s are getting pretty affordable if you're looking at those and want to save some money. So much contrast, bit reddish. Maybe I have the wrong one selected, but we're going to go with it. It's okay now. So much contrast, bit reddish. So happy because Gerald and Dunn is with us. Yes, super fun. Oh, we should do a stream someday, man. I've been meaning to get other people on here and just hang out, but here we are. A long time after saying that. What's your A7 IV wish list? A7S IV wish list? Interesting question. Well, what would be on my wish list would make it probably not the A7S IV, and that would be I really like oversampled images. So I love the A7 IV because you're dealing with what, around 7K oversampled to 4K or super sampled or however you want to say it. So I love that look because it allows me to play around with framing a little bit and it's more forgiving. You don't get that on the A7S. So if the A7S IV could still be good at low light but also have some oversampling, that would make me happy. You know, essentially an A7 IV with more video features that didn't have bad rolling shutter. That would be pretty sweet. Okay, well, best hybrid photo and video under $2,000. Best hybrid photo and video under $2,000. I mean, if I were you, I'd save a little more. Oh, is the A7 III, excuse me. I would say probably if you're okay with 8-bit. The 8-bit is rough on that camera, and it's really hard to go back. So I would save a little bit more, buy a used A7 IV if you can find one, and you'll be so much happier. Did you ever have an issue with Ecamm's live comments and reactions ceasing to update after a while? Interesting. Any ideas on the fix? No, I've not had that issue. So no issues for me. Jocko, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Is there a Sony camera which is at the price point and performance of the Canon R7? Not right now. Is there a Sony camera? Not right now. I'm really, really hoping that there is a successor to this guy, the A6400 or A6600, and essentially taking the FX30, stripping it of its FX-ness, and giving us a just a basic hybrid camera with 4K 10-bit. Then I think for $1,500, or if they could get it a little lower, that would be just dynamite. So I would definitely wait if that's your price point. Hopefully we'll get that soon, but I don't know. I'm not talking with Sony on these things. And if I was, it'd probably be under NDA, so I wouldn't be able to tell you anyway. Good to see you, visuals. Thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate it, man. Would love to know which equipment you would use to light up a small room. That is a great question. Sorry, I thought you were saying good night like I gotta leave. I'm going to say it's going to depend on a couple things. So if you have windows in a space, you need output to combat that, right? I am in a very dark space, so I don't have to worry about that as much. For small rooms, your best bet is going to be either bouncing light or using an LED mat, because an LED mat you can get right up against the wall, then diffuse it, and the whole setup's only going to take up this much room, more or less, depending on your setup. So definitely that. If you can't afford, because they're not cheap, I'm selling a bunch of mats. So if you want to use the Gear Focus link in the description, you'll probably find, I think we have like 4 different matte lights on there right now. So the other alternative is to bounce light. So take a light fixture. I don't think I have anything on my desk here. And just bounce it off of something white. Could be foam, could be a white wall, and just bounce light, or both. Like a common setup we would use is have your key light and then have a light bouncing off of the ceiling to kind of bring up the ambience. So right behind me, there's all the little lights and little splashes you see, but there's also just one light just hitting the whole background, bringing up the overall ambient here. So that's how I would approach that. It's probably hitting the ceiling and then hitting a wall, or just giving yourself just a little bit of key action. Scott, what's going on, Scott? Would you would using the FX30 in a dusky environment. Dusty, okay. Woodworking shop be detrimental as it's not fully sealed. I mean, any camera you're going to put in a woodworking environment is probably going to have a rough life. It's just dusty. So I wouldn't worry too much about the body. I mean, it depends on how dusty your shop is, right? I would say if you have a good lens that has is a sealed or weather sealed lens, that would be more concerning to me than the rest of the body. Yeah, I would probably say that. So if I were you, I'd go for it. You know, the camera is gonna, I think, hold up. I've had cameras that I've done terrible things to, and they've been fine. It's just mainly you want to take care of that sensor and maybe leave the shop when you switch lenses if possible. That would be a good idea. I'm not really into Zcam stuff, so I can't really help you there, Keen. And Carlson, Tamron 17 to 70, 2.8 versus Sigma 18 to 50, 2.8 for Sony APS-C. Trying to find the best general zoom for the FX30. That is a fantastic question, and one I'm hoping to find out. I have on order the Tamron, just because the range is a little more nice. But I would imagine either is going to do a great job, but I haven't done a side-by-side, so maybe people like Gerald and Dunn can do a video on that. I want to go in the Sony ecosystem. Yes, Sony, I would agree, is a good move there, Chris. Love the video you did on the small make batteries the other day. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Caleb Studio review by Gerald. That'd be fun. Hey, Caleb, thanks for all the great content. Speaking of LUTs, I recently picked up the upgrade key for Vlog for Panasonic S1 and was wondering what your favorite LUT was. Thanks. Well, shucks. I actually am selling one, Panasonic LUT for Vlog. But if you don't want to spend $20, I think is what it costs, just get the one that's from Panasonic. So just the basic, you know, Vlog to V709, I think it is. And that's going to do the trick for you. I wouldn't mess around with their, like, they have a whole bunch of different LUTs. Sorry, Panasonic, but they're terrible. So you just want the basic one, which is this feller right here. Whoops. Just search for Vlog to V709 3D LUT, and that'll take care of you there. So that's the one I used for years, and then I got sick of the same, I don't know, 3 little tweaks I would always make to it. So then I just made my own LUT. Hey, Caleb, do those new small rig V-mount batteries work with the Panasonic GH6? I did use it a little bit with the GH6 for the power delivery, and that seemed to work fine, but I haven't actually powered the camera directly off of it. But that's a good question. I think you'd be okay, because it has up to 3 amps at 8 volts, and I don't think the camera, I think that would still work, but don't quote me on that. I haven't fully tested it myself. If you're going directly from the DC barrel. Otherwise, if you're using a V-mount plate, it'll be fine. What else we got? Is a Panasonic G7 good to set up all around? I mean, it's a great budget 4K camera. There's not really anything else like it at its price. The next step up, I would say, is probably the Sony ZV-E10. What's going on, Coalition Gaming? Good to see you. How do you get good color and sharpness with the A6400? How do I get it? I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm working on a LUT for that. For me, on any 8-bit camera, or first of all, you can turn picture profiles off completely. So grab your camera, turn off picture profiles. That's a pretty good setup out of the gate. Another one that I really like is, and use a lot because I can't get away from log profiles, is S-Log to S-Gamut 2, and I'm sorry, S-Log 2, and then 709 Matrix. ITU 709 Matrix for the color mode. Then you're going to have lots of saturation, but you're going to be able to mess with luminance because it's still in that S-Log 2 gamma, if that makes sense. Gamma is your luminance value, so having a flatter image that you can grade and post. How many hours will a small rig V-mount 50 and 90 power an FX3? Small HD 702 touch and LS60X? That's a tall order. All those at once, and but you're saying the COB light, the 60? Oh no, the 60X. That's a panel. I would say definitely go for the 99 because that's a lot of juice for all those devices, especially that 60X. If it's not the 60X, 50 will be fine. And I would say 2 hours, 2.5 hours with all that gear powered except for the light. I would say the light, you should get your own V-mount battery for that because that's going to pull a lot of current. Want to create a channel of YouTube. Okay, wow, Caleb's really struggling today. If I want to create a channel of YouTube, what are your 10 tips? If you're talking about starting a channel in general, I would say just start making videos today and start releasing them right away because it's going to take you, I mean, various channels take different lengths of time to grow if they do eventually grow to be large. So you want to get started right away. Don't worry about the numbers. And do it consistently. Pick a frequency or a regiment that you can keep up with. A video every 2 weeks, a video every week, whatever it is, and stick with it. And just really enjoy the place that you're in. And as you grow with just little bits, every time you get regular viewers, just hang out with those people, have a good time, and enjoy it while you still can. As you grow, it's really hard to stay on top of all that stuff. So definitely enjoy the process. I think it's a really fun thing, and I think everyone should try it at some point. It's an enjoyable pursuit. Are you planning more used budget cinema camera reviews? Yes and no. There's plenty I could do, but I'm just kind of taking a break from that for right now. Are pantographs a good idea to get lights off the ground? Any experience with them? Are you talking about those like scissory things? I don't know what that word means, so let me know. Enlighten me. Let's see. Blackout Studios. When making a film or YouTube videos, is it worth getting a multiple camera setup to film at multiple angles? It really depends on the content. So I tried that for a short period of time and found that it was just more hassle than it was worth to manage because now you're importing 2 files from 2 different cameras and things get a little crazy. I like to have a single camera and just crop in and out, jump cuts that way, and then use B-roll if I need to get a shot. But if you're trying to, hey, we're talking about this, and then you cut to an angle where it's, another camera from this angle, that's just more fuss than it's usually worth. And unless you have a really good camera operator on the other end, it can be tricky and you end up using 2 short snippets and you recorded 10 minutes to 30 minutes of footage. So it's just not worth it in my opinion. But I'm not saying, that's for everyone. That totally could work for you. But my gut is no. If you really feel like, man, this could be so much better if you had another angle, maybe. All right, we've got Carlson coming from the A6600. Should I get the FX30 now or wait for the successor to the A6600? I mostly do short filmmaking, but I dabble in photography on occasion. I mean, the price difference isn't going to be massive. So, I mean, my guess is it's going to be $300 to $500 cheaper for the non-FX30 variant of the camera. So, if this is more of a hobby and you have time to wait, sure, I would wait till the end of the year, or keep an eye on rumors and stuff. But if you've got work and the camera can pay for itself, just dive right in. And I think you're definitely people that are into more video are gonna definitely enjoy the feature bump. But if you're looking for more dabbling in photography on occasion, it might be worth waiting a little longer. Has my opinion changed since I made on the FP since I made a video of it? Shortcuts. I have not messed with the camera much in a long time, so I really can't say. It definitely seems like it's improved, but I can't say, oh yeah, it's the best now, because I haven't really messed with it. Bart, what's going on, dude? Good to see you. What software are you using to manage projects and schedules? For us, we use Notion. We have a custom system that we've developed, and I'm working on a guide where I'm going to cover all of that. We're actually going to build it. It's like I finished editing the video the other day. This one video in this guide, I think it was like 35 minutes long, but I start from a blank Notion not even a template, just a blank Notion account, and we build the entire system that we use from scratch in that. So that should be a lot of fun. And maybe I'll put some of that stuff on YouTube for those interested. All right. How are you moving your camera setup? It seems to be exactly at the same place. Hi from Caribbean. How much are you moving your camera setup? It seems to be exactly the same place and so familiar. So, man, my headroom, speaking of, I'm like super self-conscious now of that. But I actually have been moving it around a little bit. But pretty much I've got this ridiculous setup. Man, I wish there was a way for me to easily add my phone. I need to figure that out so I could add my phone to Ecamm and just show you the behind the scenes. But I'm using E-Image GH06 tripod kit, and it's on wheels. So I could grab it with my foot right now and kind of move it around here so you can see underneath the desk. I can kind of shift things about and change my framing a little bit. So right now it's pulled in a little bit so I don't have the desk shown. But that's my setup, and it pretty much just lives on the other side of this desk. My monitor currently is just off of the camera, and then I'm able to pull the monitor fully in front and just work from this desk. So that's my current setup, but that's how I deal with that. Let's see, Coalition Gaming. Do you have any recommendations for some kind of long-range wireless HDMI transmitters? Line of sight isn't always available. I haven't touched any of the new stuff, so there's a lot. Do some research. Unfortunately, and I'm not knocking anyone, but if you look for this stuff, there's a lot of companies making affordable wireless, but almost every one of those reviews are of people who were sent the thing, which again, I'm not saying that what they're saying isn't true, but there's not a lot of videos because it's hard to do of someone being like, all right, here's 10 options and we bought them and we're going to test them all and find the best one. So that's a tough one. But again, I haven't touched any of that new stuff. So there's like a lot out there. So I would definitely look and see what Axoon and all these companies have available, Hollyland or whatever, what they've got going on. How much for the SM58 kit? So the version that's going live tomorrow will work with multiple microphones. There's actually a little insert that's removable and you can modify. And I think we're going for $40. I think that's the situation on that. I'm about to embark. This is Tomas. I'm about to embark on a bit of a YouTube journey, part hobby, part business. I own a Sony a6400. Do you think it still holds up 4K 30 in 2020? Everything but color, yes. Still a great camera. And check out my Sony videos when it comes to color, and I've talked about how to kind of work around that. Is your key light low? You seem kind of dark. Dadgummit, let me check the LUT. Maybe I threw the wrong one on at the beginning of the stream. So 1 second. Now that's too bright, isn't it? Let me know if that looks too bright. But yes, I definitely, good save there, Bart. Definitely had it on the 1.5 stop LUT, which is a bit strong for this set. Excuse me as I drink a little bit of water. Yeah, maybe I need to split the difference, but I've got one in between what you're looking at now and what we saw a second ago, so let me know. All right, any thoughts on the new wireless mics, DJI Small Rig? They're trying to compete with Rode, or that are trying to compete. So I haven't messed with anything but those two. So the DJI mic and the Rode. I haven't compared the other stuff. The DJI, I love everything about it from a usability standpoint, except it's a little too noisy for me. The Rodes are the opposite problem. They're so sensitive, but I'd rather be too sensitive and be able to like tweak that and use attenuators and stuff than have it be not quite enough. So if you use the microphone kind of like how they advertise it, the DJI mic right here, and you're a YouTuber and everything's cool, then you're fine. But I just love the versatility of the Rode. The fact that you can add shotgun mics and all kinds of fun stuff to it is just fun. So I prefer the Rode still. And I'll probably be selling my DJI mic kit here in a little bit. Carlson, any Sony E-mount cine lens recommendations for the FX30? Sorry, asking a lot of FX30 questions. I'm really hyped. Me too, Carlson, so you're in good company. We talked about lenses in the last stream. Cinema lenses, I mean, you looking for primes or are you looking for like zooms? One thing I want to try are all these Viltrox primes that are out there. A buddy of mine told me about them and says they're good. He has one or two. So they have primes. I mean, there's the Mikey lenses. Those are mirrorless mounts, right? Those Mikey zooms or cinema primes. I mean, what are some of the other ones? Oh, here, let's just do this. Let's do some shopping, shall we? And for anyone who doesn't care about Sony cameras, I'm so sorry, but maybe this will be enjoyable. All right. This stinking notification every time. Let's go to B&H Photo Video, and let's go for Sony actually, let's go cinema lens. Let's just go real broad strokes here, and let's narrow it down with some filters. So let's go down. Let's start with primes, lens mount, see all, Sony E. We'll apply that. We'll go down to coverage, and we'll say Super 35 and APS-C. Why not? And let's see what we got. SLR Magic, those are those crummy ones. Here's the Viltrox cinema lens. So there's a bunch of those. We'll open that in a new tab. Oh, yeah, these guys. 7 Artisans. Oh, interesting. You know what? Now you got me thinking, I wonder if I should reach out to these guys. But, yeah, they have these fast ones. So T1.505. What else? I wouldn't do any of the Rokinon stuff. SLR Magic, the micro primes, those are pretty cool. There's the Mikey. And, oh, this beast. This is an interesting lens. 35T1 from Mitakon. And that seems to be kind of the consensus. So this is a good way. This is how I kind of do some research. There's some more Viltrox, Laowa, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you're dealing with here. There's the Viltrox primes. There's a 23, 33, and 56. 7 Artisans, 25, 35 for Sony E. And these are fast, so T1.05. So that's going to be a really, really fast. Looks like they have several mounts for those who aren't Sony folk. And then we've got the micro primes, which is a whole line of those as well. So now take this information, run out, and look at reviews. Lots of people have done reviews. T1, ooh, one poor rating. What does this guy have to say? Blah, blah, blah. There you go. So, yeah, several different options available there. And I, too, am excited about this camera to see what all is available. All right, where did we leave off? I don't know of many options. I use an Arc II right now, Laowa. So that's probably what I would, but I don't know what Zeppin 3 is. Best short stands for Amaran tube lights. So you can get just like a. It depends on the size. Shoot, what is it called? Let me look on Amazon here. Let's do this. Great question. I love short stands. Really, really, really handy. So we're gonna go to Amazon. Actually, I think that was B&H where I bought my, let's see, it's Impact Floor Stand. It's essentially a spigot. No. Low background stand. Let's try that. No. Low stand. Ooh, this is feeling better. Here we go, this thing. Backlight stand, that's what I was looking for. These things are really great. So 19 bucks. By the way, let me know if this is coming through here. I really hope this is coming through. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. So $19, and this thing folds up, as you see here. And then bam, you've got this really wide stance, and it's just got a baby receiver. So if I can zoom in here like that, you can see you just stick any spigot in this thing and you're good to go. So you could even leave the spigot on your light tube and then just drop it on the stand. The whole thing packs up super nice, as you can see here. You can buy it with the stud or without, and then you can also buy it with a riser, which is what I did. And these risers are really handy. I actually have one just above me for my overhead camera. So super fun, great stand. I've had mine for like ever. This thing's been for sale for a really long time. I don't know. Is it 10 years now? So no problems, nothing to complain about. Good stuff. Okay, so that's that. Would you recommend a key light to go along with my two Godox SL60s? What would you recommend as a key light? If you're going to stick with Team Godox, any of their 100 plus watt, 150 plus watts would be a great option. If you want a little more juice. I mean, these days there's so many, right? Small rig is making lights like crazy. So yeah, I would say any of those. Watch reviews. Gerald has a great set of, or that video he did on all of their kind of like current lineup a while back that looked really solid. Are there C-stand kits, a bunch of C-stands you would recommend? I looked at the used market, but they're just as expensive as new. Thanks. Yes, I love, and they're all right here. I have a ton of and love Impact C-stands. So I believe the brand is owned by B&H or Magnus, something, no, Gratis Group. That's who it is. But they've been great. This is another purchase that I've had for 10 years, and they're just rock stars. So I would definitely look into the different base styles. There's swivel base and there's turtle base. I would get turtle base. Should we just demo it right now? Why not? All right, let's get weird here. So what I love about these is they're real C-stands. This is real metal. It's magnetic. It's the real deal. There's a lot of cheap, tinny, nasty ones out there with springs in them and stuff. So this is like a pretty hefty setup. Comes with a arm, so I'll take that off. So it's the real deal. It's a full C-stand. But what I love about it is the base. So it's a turtle base. Let me grab it real quick. Make sure I don't hit anything on the ceiling. And what's great about the turtle base is you can remove the center column here. So let me do that. And at the bottom of this is just a junior pin. So let me set this on the floor. All right, so here's the base of a turtle stand. And there's a collar here that you lift up. Make sure I don't smack any laptops or screens. And now you can close the whole thing up. It locks in place and is super duper easy to store. And what's nice is this is a junior receiver. So you can get a junior to baby pin adapter. And this now becomes a super low stand. Again, really high quality stuff, and big fan of these. So that's a turtle base. A sliding base doesn't have this collar, but the center leg can go up and down the stand. So if you're going to put this thing on stairs, you wouldn't want to use a turtle base. You'd want a sliding base. So that's the difference, but I love turtle bases. I have a couple sliding just in case, but that's the difference. Let me move the stuff. And let's move on, shall we? We've got that. We've got the C-stand. Sorry about the microphone there, guys. What else? All right, James, what's going on, dude? Good to see you. Lighting advice. Advice, please, for lighting. Key light, Godox UL150 with a 48-inch softbox, no grid, typically 50%. Fill is a Falconized 12T, dialed to 3/4. Image needs vivid saturation in post. Settings too high. So you're adding saturation in post. I mean, that's pretty typical if you're shooting in log. I would say if I were you, I would skip. I don't like using another light as a fill. I much prefer to use something white. Let let me grab this clipboard here. It doesn't take much. So to my left is a wall, and I think for me and the way I like to light, this is enough. But just using something white, this is a tiny piece of paper, but you can see how much of a difference that alone makes. So just imagine I have a, I don't know, 6 foot by 4 foot foam board over there. That would massively fill in the side of my face. So unless you're going for a completely evenly lit look, my desk is so messy, I have nowhere to put this thing. I would avoid using another light as your fill. It's just too much, and that's going to get weird because you're going to have not perfect color. One of those lights is probably going to have a little green or magenta, and I would just avoid that. But I don't think the light, changing your light is necessarily going to change your color. That's going to be your camera, LUT, workflow, all that kind of stuff. All right, if I was starting from scratch, Chris Levy, what camera would you recommend if you're starting from scratch? Hybrid, but more film-oriented, Canon or Sony, and which cameras, especially prices, differ a lot. So we talked about the R7. I think that's a fantastic hybrid all-arounder. $1,500, you're done. You know, you're going to hear the same stuff, right? So Sony FX30, super fun looking. Honestly, that Goldilocks camera I think is going to be the next Sony A67, 68, 7000, whatever it's going to be called. No, you cannot use RF lenses with a Sony. I don't know why, but when I shoot S-Log3, when I apply a conversion LUT from Sony, it doesn't look good. Are there anything that I could be wrong? You're not alone. So if you're on the A7S III and the A7 IV, they will look slightly different, and the A7S III will look worse. Here's what you can do. I hate to do it, but I have to. Buy my LUT. It'll pretty much take care of the green thing. The other thing you can do is, just because S-Log3 is in the camera doesn't mean you can't shoot S-Log2. And if you shoot S-Log2 in 10-bit on modern Sony cameras, so A7 IV, A7S III, FX30, some of those weird stuff people are having with S-Log3, that all goes away when you use Sony's official LUTs. So I had the same issue. If you go to academy.DSLR video shooter, it's all in the description. You'll find my S-Log3 LUT. There you'll find a video where I show what Sony's LUT looks like compared to the one I came up with, which is what I dealt with. I'm using it right now, and it's to deal with those skins, so to get rid of that like green, sickly look that you'll often have. So you're not crazy. Let me just say that. That said, not all Sony cameras are that issue. Don't have that issue, but the A7S III is one of them. All right. What else? Is the A7 IV video sharper details worth it over the A7S III, 240 frames per second? So if you're just going to film and never crop in, A7S III is going to be fine. I like the option to be able to punch in. I do that stuff all the time. I zoom in, post, I do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I like the A7 IV. To me, that's a bigger deal. But I don't film at high frame rates. So if you're shooting at 120 or 240 all the time, then yes, the A7S III is a better buy. Sweet. Thank you for the kind words, man. Tim Olson, did you ever mess around with recording video with your phone? There's an Android app, Motion Cam, that can record DNG cinema DNG sequences. Interesting. I have not, Tim, but I imagine that'll be a thing. Yes, I'm getting warm in here. All of the computers and stuff are, we're at that awkward point here in the Midwest where it's starting to get chilly, so we're switching the heat on. But I have it on heat right now, and it's starting to get warm in here, so I'm definitely feeling warm. So hence the red, and I was lifting the C-stands around. Yes, the accordion type rigs. Right, so I haven't used them much. The problem I have with, unless you have an easy way to move overhead rigs around, almost every single time I put something up off of the floor, I end up having to move it. So I like to have things on rolling stands, or if it's like a curtain-y type thing, some kind of rod system, or some way to roll it around freely. That said, if you're in a setup where like you are not changing anything, then yes, mounting something to the ceiling does make a lot of sense. And that's the comment I was just addressing. Alex Miner, good to see you, man. Hey, new here. Welcome, first of all, Alfonso Nation. I'm fairly fine with my Sony a6400 for video, but I'm considering the Shure SM7B to replace my Blue Yeti. But I'm a beginner with XLR audio and a cloud lifter. If I need that. Any tips? So there's a video, and you guys help me out if you're the audio heads out there. There's a video someone did where they were talking about the need, whether or not you need a cloud lifter. And usually if your preamp is good enough or at a certain spec, you don't. So if you want to use a microphone like this, what I would recommend is go into a preamp and then out of the preamp, either into your camera or into whatever device you're going to use to input it to your computer. So for me, I am using the DBX 286S. It's a mic preamp. It actually has some denoising capabilities. So my MacBook is screaming to my right, and right now I'm using that to kind of reduce noise. You could use something like that. I think that's got plenty of juice to power your SM7B. Then out of that, you go line into the camera, and you'll be done. So yeah, that's probably what I would recommend. You should see if you can use NDI to add your phone to the stream. Right on. Yep, I'll have to check that out. Awesome. Thanks, Bart. Is the recording bitrate quality of the Atem Mini Pro sufficient for basic editing, color grading, or should I invest in the HyperDeck? You'd have to try it, Tony. It's depending on your tolerances for that kind of thing. All right. I would like to start work as a freelance videographer. Do you have any advice on how to start or places to find jobs, etc.? Yeah, just get online, find whoever's video oriented in your community, in your town, city, and start hanging out with those people, work together, and definitely get plugged in, and you'll find work. If you work hard and you're reliable and honest, you're gonna find work. Will it be shipped to Germany? Unfortunately not. Yeah, U.S. shipping only. And suddenly is morning. Sorry about that, guys. Whoa, I'm way behind, dude. Okay. Been watching for it feels like forever. Is it possible? Could you bully Sony into updating the A1? I wish, man. I don't have that kind of clout with them, though. Is that the right word? Maybe I need to look up the definition for that. Make sure I'm not, if I'm using that properly. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to scroll way down because A, I missed some super chats. B, I'm just super duper way behind. Okay, we got a super chat here. First of all, thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. For 49 pounds, he says, Sony A7S III or A7 IV for live streaming and recording classes. I've heard the A7 IV is overheating. If you're indoors, I'm going to say you're not going to have to worry about overheating. I've been using mine for a lot and doing, this thing gets used daily for long periods of time, and I've not had any issues. So, yeah, I'm going to say A7 IV is a good move. All right. Right after that, Daily Driver says it's overheating. Make sure you've got to set that setting in the camera to have the heat tolerance set to high. If you don't do that, it will overheat. But if you set it to high, at least for me, at 4K SI, XAVC SI, XAVC SI 4K, I've had no issues. All right. Scrolling down. Maybe we'll just start near the bottom and catch up. Mr. Camera Junkie, good to see you, boss. What's going on? People are talking a lot about cloud lifters. I'm going to be reviewing the Simu next. If the video is done, but it's coming out next Tuesday. Hey Caleb, I want to start doing live stream work for my clients. Should I get the Atem Mini or Pro? So if you want to record, you got to go Pro. Well, okay, so you're talking about the original basic one and then the Pro. I would say the Pro is what I would start with. It's really nice having that multi-view. I've got it just off of camera and down below so it doesn't show up on my glasses. And it's just so great to be able to see everything that's happening with all of your cameras and your audio at a glance. So I would say definitely spring for the Pro. Are you using the ISO Resolve project comes from blah, blah, blah? No, I'm not using, I mean, I have an ISO. This is the ISO, yes, on my desk here. We've got the ISO on the Pro, but I don't use Resolve, so yeah. Parker, good to see you, man. Super chat, $1 from Zetchin. Let me know if you have a question. Thank you for the donation. Okay. Video shooting still cars. Starting an advertising agency and going to be producing cars indoors. Need lighting advice, kind of like Jay Leno's garage setup. What do you think? So cars are big, so you need big lights. Lots of big, bounceable things. Sorry. Big surfaces that you can bounce light off of. So I would invest in some way to hang like a 12 by 12 if possible over a car and either hit light into it or an LED mat above it firing down. You can look up, I hope I don't get demonetized for this, but strip boxes. They're soft boxes that are really long and narrow. Those are great if you can get them just out of the frame, like up here, and you can backlight cars. That always looks incredible because you get that nice line showing the curve of the car. Those are really good. So that's where I would start. And definitely watch a ton of car content. Look at the behind the scenes stuff, but big light sources. And where you put them is the key. And hey, if there's someone in here who's rocking car shoots, jump in and please correct me if I'm wrong. Considering the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K G2/Pro, can't decide, would a 100% build a large cinema rig for short films. I have very own lenses for all my lenses. What's your opinion? Yeah, I mean, listen to your heart. What does your heart tell you between the two cameras? I'm gonna say Pro. Yeah, having the built-in NDs is just, if I had to go back to shooting with those cameras, probably the Pro if I'm going to be outside a lot. All right, Sony launched the FX30. 120p is either heavily cropped or 8-bit. I'm going to cry. Think of switching my A6600 anyway. Should I wait for the next? Yeah, I don't think you're going to gain, the A7000 or whatever isn't probably going to give you 4K 120 uncropped is my guess. So I would say FX30 is probably what I would go with. But who knows? What action camera would you recommend? I don't use a lot of action cams, but I've heard people like these 360 Insta360 guys. So them or GoPro. That's kind of the game, right? All right. Can you recommend a good quality variable ND filter for the S5 for video? So the Peter one is good. Honestly, I just stopped using them because I'm sick and tired of messing with them. Every shot looks different. So an experiment you can do is film a person and just change where you're filming, move around them, and change the ND amount. And it makes their skin look completely different. So it's really annoying when you are in post because you're essentially polarizing, using a circular polarizer, and it's messing stuff up. So I prefer to get 3 just basic ND filters with magnetic adapters on your lens. Just pop them on and off, and that's way nicer for me, image quality wise. All right. What else? Thinking of starting a YouTube channel and would like to get a camera that is able to blur the background. Is it possible to get a camera for around 2,000 pounds total? Yes. I'm going to say for you, Adam, it sounds like you might be. I'm not knocking you, but if you're getting started and you're kind of new to this stuff, I would say a really solid camera for you would be the Canon R7. and some of their RF lenses. So they have a 35 millimeter f1.8, a 50 millimeter f1.8. Those lenses with that camera at f1.8 are going to give you what you're looking at right now. So about this look where things are out of focus, and the closer you get to your camera, the more out of focus they're going to get. See all that? See that plant over there? As I back up here, it's going to become more in focus. And so depending on how you frame things up, you should be good to go. But this lens is a 35 millimeter f1.8. So hopefully that helps you out. Do you stress over titles or thumbnails much these days? You know what, Coalition? I don't. I still try to come up with a good thumbnail and a good title, but I just really don't care anymore. I do and I don't. So that's the answer to that. All right, we've got the Sony A7C, 2 Sony FE primes, and want to switch to a 10-bit camera. Would you recommend switching to the XH2S, FX30, or A7S III? If you're coming from the A7C, I'm going to say A7 IV, unless you don't like rolling shutter. Then you could downgrade to the FX30. It's a huge upgrade, but sensor size-wise, it's going to be smaller. So if I'm in your shoes, having owned those, I haven't shot the XH2S, but I'm going to say A7 IV or FX30 would be the two I would choose. A couple of weeks ago, I asked about the 702 Touch. But now definitely going to buy the Smart 5 Cine for long-term investment. Nice. Cool, Lester. Boom. There you go with the Cloud Lifter or Fethead. Yeah, Fethead. I've got one of those. They're cool. Have you gotten your hands on the Aperture MC Pros yet? No, I've not. I probably won't do a review on them, but they look pretty sweet. Any video plans for the Laowa anamorphic lenses? I won't get into it, but no. Probably going to take a break from cinema lenses for a while. Atem Mini has been discontinued. The Pros, now the base model. Wow, there you go, John. Wannabe Films. What's going on, Grant? Have you tried the iPhone 14 Pro Max for video? Just got one last week. I'm curious to see what I can get out of it. Sometimes I don't want to lug a cinema camera around. Yeah, no, I haven't, but I actually cracked the screen on my 11 Pro, which you'll see a lot of this next week in next week's video, and it has a cracked screen. So I'm all ears, and I've just not kept up with phones. So let me know what you think about it. As was last week, currently have Pocket 4K rig with modern battery solution, but I think it's a bit too heavy and big for me. Should I get the 6K Pro and not rig it up? Yeah, but you're going to hate that camera too. I mean, you could, right? It's going to be better. But overall, if you are unhappy with rigging cameras up, get away from Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras at this time. They're just not fun to shoot with. But the image is amazing, and the specs are nuts. So that's the trade-off. Good to see you, Baron. In regards to your question about the magnetic NDs, I use, dang it, I need to look up what the brand is. I keep forgetting, but they're not a hyped brand, but they're really solid filters. But I use the X-Zoom, X-U-M-E filters. I think they're owned by Manfrotto, and they're still available on Amazon. So I just have a set of those. Yeah, I'm sorry. I need to look that up, Tony, in regards to that question. Because I always space on the name. It's not, not Polar Pro, it's another company. But they're amazing filters. They're really high quality. And with that, boys and girls, I think we might call it here. This was a good one. Thank you guys for all the great questions. And we have next week another video coming out. It's going to be on the CMO from Axoon, so that should be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, we're releasing those microphones, and should be a good time. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. For those who donated, really appreciate it. Great questions, everybody. Hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next Wednesday for another episode of Video Production Helpline. There it is. All right, guys, have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.